जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय नित्य गौरंग जय नित्य गौरंग नित्य गौरंग जय नित्य गौरंग जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय कृष्ण बलराम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय रीडिंग फ्रॉम श्रीमद् भागवतम Canto 10, Chapter 9, Text number 21. Please repeat after me. Nayam sukhapo bhagavan Nayam sukhapo bhagavan Dehinam gopika sutaha Dehinam gopika sutaha Jnaninam chatma bhutanam Jnaninam chatma bhutanam Yatha bhakti matamiha Yatha bhakti matamiha Nayam sukapo bhagavan Dehinam gopika sutaha Naninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhakti matamiha. Nayam sukapa bhagavan dehinam gopika sutaha jnaninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhakti matamiha. Nayam sukapo bhagavan dehinam gopika sutaha jnaninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhakti matamiha. Nayam sukhapo bhagavan dehinam gopika sutaha jnaninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhakti matamiha. Word to word translation. Please repeat after me. Na, not. I am, this. Sukha apaha, very easily obtainable or an object of happiness. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dehinam, of persons in the bodily concept of life, especially the karmis. Gopika sutaha, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda. Krishna, as the son of Vasudeva, is called Vasudeva, and as the son of Mother Yashoda, he is known as Krishna. Jnaninam cha, and of the Jnanis who try to be free from material contamination. Atma Bhutanam, of self-sufficient yogis. Yatha, as. Bhakti Matam, of the devotees. Iha, in this world. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Please repeat after me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. Purport. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda, is very easily available to devotees, but not to tapasvis, yogis, jnanis, and others who have a bodily concept of life. Although they may sometimes be called Shanta Bhaktas, real bhakti begins with Dasya Rasa. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.11, E yata mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvasaha. As living entities surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prutha. Everyone is seeking Krishna, for he is the super soul of all individual souls. Everyone loves his body and wants to protect it because he is within the body as the soul. And everyone loves the soul because the soul is part and parcel of the super soul. Therefore, everyone is actually seeking to achieve happiness by reviving his relationship with the super soul. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedescha sarvair aham eva vedyaha. By all the Vedas, it is I who am to be known. Therefore, the karmis, gnanis, yogis, and saintly persons are all seeking Krishna. But by following in the footsteps of devotees who are in a direct relationship with Krishna, especially the inhabitants of Vrindavana, one can reach the supreme position of associating with Krishna. As it is said, Vrindavanam parityajya padam ekam nagacchati. Krishna does not leave Vrindavana even for a moment. The Vrindavana Vasis, Mother Yashoda, Krishna's friends, and Krishna's conjugal lovers, the young gopis with whom he dances, have very intimate relationships with Krishna. And if one follows in the footsteps of these devotees, Krishna is available. Although the Nitya Siddha expansions of Krishna always remain with Krishna, if those engaged in sadhana siddhi follow in the footsteps of Krishna's Nitya Siddha associates, such sadhana siddhas also can easily attain Krishna without difficulty. But there are those who are attached to bodily concepts of life. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, for example, have very prestigious positions, and thus they have the sense of being very exalted Ishwaras. In other words, because Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are guna avataras and have exalted positions, they have some small sense of being like Krishna. But the pure devotees who inhabit Vrindavana do not possess any bodily conception. They are fully dedicated to the service of the Lord in sublime affection, prema. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore recommended prema pumarto mahan. The highest perfection of life is prema, pure love in relationship with Krishna. And Mother Yashoda appears to be the topmost of devotees who have attained this perfection. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaurabhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those who strive for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body same as the self. Once Srila Prabhupada was describing the appearance of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadramai. So he was saying that Satyabhama came to Rukmini and said, see, yesterday night, Krishna in his sleep, he was just, remembering, saying some words in his sleep. What was he saying? He was just saying Radha, Radha. And he was just, like somebody, they have like a little bit of a nightmare or some very strong dream or something, right? Like, we just keep, so he was just saying Radha, Radha. And then, he was saying that, and then he was closing his eyes, and then again he would just get up and say Radha, Radha. So Satyabhama asked, who is this Radha? Then Rukmini is saying, oh, Radharani, she is the topmost devotee of Krishna. And then she starts explaining about the Vrindavana Leela, the gopis, and Radharani and their intense love for Krishna, and how Krishna does not even leave them, even for a moment. Like Prabhupada says in this purport, Krishna does not leave Vrindavan, even for a moment. And when she was explaining, Krishna happened to come, and he was standing outside and he was just listening. And as soon as Rukmini started telling about the pastimes of Radharani and this thing, Krishna immediately went into a trance. And he was remembering Vrindavan and Radharani, and when somebody is very intensely thinking of something, their eyes open up wide, right? So Krishna's eyes opened up wide, and he was intensely thinking of this thing. He was like stunned like that. At that time, Balaram also happened to pass by. And he comes and sees, and then he sees, what is this? Krishna is stunned like this. And then he also starts listening. And he also becomes wrapped in remembrance of Vrindavan and the wonderful pastimes and everything. And then his eyes also open up wide and he becomes stunned. And Satyabhama also happens to pass by. And she is looking at Krishna and Balaram and seeing them in rapt attention. She also becomes stunned and has her eyes wide open. And so Prabhupada explained that this is the divine appearance of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadramai, in that particular form. So we see here the exalted position of Radharani and the gopis and the Vrajavasis of Mother Yashoda, who have this very intense love for Krishna. There is actually, in this verse we are hearing about how you can achieve Krishna very easily. By what? Spontaneous, loving service. See, these words have a lot of meaning. And Srila Prabhupada, used to emphasize this. In a letter he wrote to Karandara. Karandara Prabhu used to be the temple president of Los Angeles and one of the very, very trusted lieutenants of Srila Prabhupada. He had a lot of faith in him, and you'll see very intimate relationship between Prabhupada and Karandara Prabhu. So in a letter he writes to him, and in that he says, managers, those who have responsibilities for managing the temples and managing the different departments and affairs of the temple, managers need to create an atmosphere where devotees can serve. He used 3 words: spontaneous, then individual. We are individuals. And voluntary. See, why individual matters? Because you see, all of us, we are born with certain vasanas. By prarabdha karma, you are born in a body. There's a physical body, and there is a subtle body. The mind, the intelligence, and the false ego. And that has very deep vasanas. Vasana means, what does vasana mean? Desires, liking, particular. Have you seen how some things are so important to somebody and somebody else just doesn't care about that at all. He doesn't even factor. But some things are very, very important for somebody. We can't suddenly, you see, we are supposed to get to a stage where, like the gopis, they have reached a stage where it is like anything they will do for whatever Krishna wants. That is what is important. They don't have any individual this. They say, no, what does Krishna want? What does Krishna's devotees want? What does the gopi, bhartu, pada, kamala, your dasa, dasalo, dasa? What do the devotees, the servants, or the servants, what do they want? How do they want to serve? And that's what is really important for me. But that's a very exalted position that will reach at some point. If you artificially try to do that, what happens? You will say, oh no, I really don't want that, but inside your heart you really want that. And it is not sustainable. It is actually not sustainable. That is why one has to understand one's level of spiritual maturity at that point in time, and to that maturity one should act. This artificially trying to imitate or trying to exhibit something that is not natural is not. We should stretch ourselves. We should, just because oh no, I have this thing, I want this. You don't stick to that, but you should understand what the ideal is. You should understand where you are, and you should slowly move towards the ideal. Right? So this individual liking is important, and that's why when Prabhupada talks about this how is a devotee should this in the purport of 2.441, Prabhupada talks about how should services be allocated to devotees, and then he talks about desired services, then services that are done as a duty, and then emergency services. So that's why everybody needs to understand that the individual is important. And then we said spontaneous. Again, the spontaneity comes obviously from one's interest and all that, and it is loving. It's not forced. Oh, I'm doing more they told me to do. I'm getting up because otherwise they'll mark my attendance absent. And it's good. You should do that. But if you forever remain in that, I'm doing this because they'll mark my attendance absent, then that's not spontaneous. Neither is it voluntary, right? You'd rather sleep, but I've come kind of a thing. But one has to come to this voluntary, individual, and spontaneous devotional service, because without doing loving devotional service, one really cannot come to Krishna. There is no Prabhupada used to talk about these armchair philosophers, right? People, who will, say, oh, they'll talk wonderful things, but what are you doing? How is your time, energy, your money, your different belongings that are given to you, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, what is that being used for? For your material sense gratification. But then talking big things. Oh, Krishna, this, that, all those things. So this dichotomy, this disconnect will not get us close to Krishna. There's a very famous dialogue that happens between Ramananda Raya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anybody remembers where this happens? Huh? The banks of Godavari, right? Huh? Rajamandri. Anybody is from Rajamandri? Near Rajamandri. Right? So, Ramananda Raya had a very, very high position as governor of that province. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was preaching to him. But he had a very different way of preaching to him. Yeah. Instead of telling him, he is trying to get it out of him. Okay, tell me, what is that a devotee should do? What is the standard of devotional service? What is highest? Right? So, where does Ramananda Raya begin? Like, what is the first thing that Ramananda Raya says? Varnashrama. He says that a devotee, a person who understands the importance of Varnashrama dharma and starts practicing it sincerely, that is a very good place to be in, because that will get you to Krishna. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Ehe Bahya. Hey, this is all external. Tell me something more. Now, we need to understand why these things, because here same thing is being talked about in this particular verse, right? In this particular purport. All these different levels are being talked about. Right? Now, what is this level referring to in the particular verse? In this verse, what are the four things? What are the four levels that we're talking about, and what does this refer to? The karmis. So, karmi and karma yoga both. If you see, the first level it says varnashrama dharma. What does this varnashrama dharma following means? Okay, understanding that based on the age of a person, you go through these cycles of brahmacharya, gruhastha, vanaprastha and sannyas. And what are the different duties of an individual in that particular ashrama. And then based on the prarabdha karma, the vasanas that we talked about, there are a varna that is very natural for that living entity. And so you, in this ashramas, you practice your varna. Right? By strictly following those regulations, one gradually becomes purified. So this is the first stage. Now, what is the next stage? No, this is external. Tell me more. What is the next stage that Ramananda Raya talks about? Anybody remembers? What is next? After doing your duties properly, what else should you do? Huh? Serve devotees, pray to the Lord. That's coming towards later. But at this stage, after Varnashrama, so what comes out of your action? Results come, no? If you're a Gruhastha, you are producing wealth. You are into this thing. So what should you do with that wealth? Everybody is doubtful, what to do with you. If you have any doubts, come, I will tell you what to do with your. Prabhupada said that, some sannyasi was saying, they were saying, I don't want to touch any wealth, I'm this thing. No. Swamiji doesn't. Prabhupada said, Kota ache. Anybody knows Bengali? Kota ache means what? How much do you have? Give me. I know how to use it in Krishna's service. So, karma phala tyaga. You'll say, yes, I am full following Varnashrama, I'm doing everything, this thing, but what are you doing with the result of your activities? I got a nice house, I got a nice this thing, I got a bank balance, I've created this, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. If you just follow Varnashrama and do not use the results of that for these things, it's Shrama evayi kevalam. Whole life you have worked nicely, you have followed this. What is the end of it? Right? In this thing, rituals and duties are meant to culminate in Krishna Bhakti. If they don't, they are simply a useless waste of time. See, when organizing a human society like this is the foundation, it is important. Right, Prabhupada used to talk about Daivi Varnashrama and how that is so important. It is important, but you have to understand what is after that. So, karma phala tyaga. In this thing, Prabhupada, when he's talking about the purport, he quotes Bhagavad Gita 9.27. Right? Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give in charity. What does that verse? Yad karoshi. Do it for Krishna. Right? Now, this karma phala tyaga is a higher level because you are realizing that there is somebody I need to serve. In a sense, you are serving somebody. This is meant for somebody. This is all meant for Krishna. And so when you make that sacrifice, for Krishna, then because you work so hard, so much of intense effort, what's the result you're giving for Krishna? It actually purifies your entire karma, your activities. That is why, as devotees, this is a very, very important aspect of practical devotional life as well. Ideally, we should give up everything and serve, Guru and his mission full time. If you're not able to do, the next thing is, okay, fine, you have some duties, responsibilities and all that. You do that nicely. Follow the Daivi Varnashrama system, this thing. But then you dedicate your results of your activities to Krishna, to Prabhupada, to his mission, Guru's mission. And that is why, both these together, by the way, it is equal to the karmis that is being talked about in this verse. Karmis and the karma yogis also. A karmi just uses his activities for his own aggrandizement. And there is an element of, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Some moksha I will get in the end. But everything, should be take care of my this thing. In this verse, what is this stage called? In this particular verse, there is a particular word that Sukadeva Goswami is using. So he's saying, anybody remembers what word he uses to describe these people in this stage? Gnani, yeah. Gnani is liberated. Gnani is in transcendental knowledge. Dehinam. Why Dehinam is being used over here? Because unless you are in the bodily concept, you will not have any interest in this material world. If you have transcended the bodily concept, then just think for a second. Many times Prabhupada used to give the example. He's like a ghost. Somebody is, as bhoot aage bolte hai na? Somebody's got a ghost. They are doing everything, but they're actually not them. That bhuta is acting. Like that, we are doing all our time, energy, effort we are putting to take care of this body. This body is not you. It's a temporary thing that will just go away, and then you have had so many bodies in the past, you're going to have so many bodies in the future. Then, what is this that you are, obsessed about, right? So that is that dehina, bodily concept of life, or the karmis, both are being used to describe. Now, what is the next stage after that? In the Ramananda Raya conversation, there is a progression of this karma also. So karma phala tyaga, then what comes next? That is karma phala tyaga. Next is what is called as sannyas, or renunciation of worldly life. So here, he is quoting, 18.66, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all of these things. Because you see what is happening over here. The highest perfection of all this varnashrama and all of this is developing this detachment from all of this and leading to loving devotional service. Then you are fully engaged in devotional service. So karma phala tyaga leads to sannyasa, or renunciation. Now why? Because this is a progression of giving up the concept of aham mameti. Ahankara, when you say ahankara, what is it? Aham karoti iti ahankara. I am the doer. That I am the doer mentality, is progressively being given up. Right? These three are still talking about karma yoga. And so sannyasa means you come to a stage where you're giving up, you're renouncing. Right? And in the Bhagwatam, there's a 11.32 where Krishna says the highest perfection of religion is detachment leading to devotional service. Here also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, this is all external. Tell me more. So what do you think is the next stage after sannyas? Gnana. Gnana Mishra Bhakti. It is bhakti, but Gnana Mishra. In fact, when you look at your own devotional activities, all of us, in our practical lives, you will see we are either doing karma mishra bhakti, where, Swami karya, swakarya, they say, right? My work also should happen, and Krishna's work. We take a commission. It depends on how much commission. Some people take 99% commission. Some people take maybe 90% commission. Prabhupada said, even if you take 50% commission also, that's like a very exalted position. You should come to at least 50% commission. Give 50% of your activities, of your results, you should give to Krishna. Then he says, Prabhupada used to say very clearly, he said, if a grihastha is working outside and all that, if he gives 50%, it is no different from a brahmachari living in the temple. No difference. So if anybody is missing those brahmacharya, these things, here is a way for you to practice. Practical method. It's difficult, not easy. You'll say, no, I don't have that much. When I get to that much, Krishna gives me, I'll become. Krishna will say, you become, I'll give you. It's like, it's a state of mind. Think about it. You do a thought experiment. If, just imagine, you are living in Germany in 1939, 40s. The Jews in Germany were the richest people in Germany. They owned most of the wealth. Most of the businesses were German, were Jewish. Most of the factories were Jewish, because they are very hard-working people, very religious people, very this thing. So naturally, it is just like, for example, even in the United States, the Indians have now become the highest earning this thing in the entire. We bet the Jews also now. The Jews were higher than us. Indians are now more. They earn more than Jews as a community. We earn more than 3 times what the national average earns. Our education is twice that. It's a matter of time before what happened to the Jews in this thing will happen over here also. People will say, what is this? Small percentage of people, so much wealth they're controlling. Right? If you go around the Bay Area, it's practically like that now. What Germany used to be in the 1930s. Everything is Indian. Everything, business is Indian. What is America here? There's no America. Same thing was happening. But suddenly overnight, when the Nazis took over and this thing, overnight all the wealth was stolen away from them. They were sent to concentration camps. Overnight. So like that, things will happen. It will go away. If it goes away, then what is this? One day you were a millionaire and next day you were fighting for bread. Now, Prabhupada is telling you, before it is taken away from you, you give it voluntarily. Right? That's the thing. I'm realizing we are running out of time. So, Gnana Mishra Bhakti is the next stage where you are realizing you are not the body and you want to, you are trying to live, away from all of these material contaminations and everything. But you are still caught up in the thing that I can become Brahman. The typical Jnanis, they're not recognizing Krishna, they're not recognizing the super soul. They're saying, no, I am the same, I am Satchidananda and I will merge with Satchidananda and I will become Satchidananda. Right? Now, as devotees, there is a, this Gnana Mishra Bhakti, even if you have, there is still that pride of, I am going to do this, I am going to learn this, I am going to become transcendental to this, that aspect of it. Right? And then when he says, no, tell me more, after Gnana Mishra is Shuddha Bhakti. In this verse, we're talking about the Dehinam, then the Gnanis. Right? Now, in the Shuddha Bhakti, there are again stages of that. There is a progression. First, he talks about Dasya, right? Service in the mode of being a servant. Then after Dasya, what is next? Sakhya. Then Vatsalya. Then finally Madhurya. And again, I'm just skipping through a lot of things over here because I realized I've just missed time myself. And then within that, the gopis, remembrance of Krishna in separation, right? That is considered the highest. And among those gopis in the separation, who is highest? Radharani's mood is the highest. And there's a whole description of these different levels and how the progression happens. And so, these are the ways for us, how we can evolve our consciousness. I know we run out of time. We'll stop here. Anybody has any quick questions or comments? Huh? Who are Shantas? By the way, who are Shantas? Shantarasa people are nothing but these Gnanis and all of these that are, when they get liberated, they're in that mood of, awe and reverence. So this thing. There's not really proper recognition of Krishna and his position and all that. So that is why that's called as Shantarasa, Shantas. In fact, in that purport, there is a description of that how all of these, the highest level they can reach is Shantaras. That is not even considered having a relationship with Krishna. The true relationship starts at least at Dasyaras. Yes. See, this is a very complicated topic, but I'll tell you at a very just level. What is being referred to over here is once you have reached a stage of going beyond uh, bodily concept. If you are experiencing, oh, I want to do, I want this, I want to eat this, I want to do this, I like this, I want anything that is there associated with both the gross and the subtle body. If you are in that bodily concept, then you have not reached that Gnana Mishra Bhakti level. It's actually pretty high level. But because most of the Gnanis, they've gone beyond any material, they have zero interest in this material world. Zero interest. True Gnanis, they are interested in all that is happening up at the intellect level, subtle body level. Now, you could, there you're not recognizing the Gnanis. Typically, they don't recognize Krishna as the Supreme because they don't know. They're not, because they're envious of Krishna, Prabhupada says in many places. That's why that knowledge is not open to them. They have nothing to do with this material world. Imagine what level they have reached. They have no interest in this material world because they're not the body. They know that. But then they can't give up. That we are just a small anu, we are a small, anu, right? We are just a small portion of the Supreme. So that's the difference. We'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagwatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Bol Premanande.
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna